Thank you for joining us for a special Hutch Award celebration. I'm Rick Rizzs with the Mariners, and I'm thrilled to have you here today. Now, today we're bringing together the Seattle baseball community and Fred Hutch supporters to celebrate Dee Gordon, the 55th recipient of the Fred Hutch Award. Way to go, Dee. Now, even though we can't be together out at T-Mobile Park like we are annually, we're still finding ways to stay connected to family, friends, colleagues, and the organizations that we care about. This event brings together two organizations I'm personally passionate about, the Seattle Mariners and the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. I'm joined here by my fellow Hutch Award Luncheon MC and my good friend Mike Gastineau. How you doing, buddy? It's great to have you here.
Rick, it's great to see you. I'm doing great. This is one of the terrific traditions in Seattle sports and in the Seattle sports community. And like any great tradition, sometimes it has to overcome a little adversity, and that's what we're doing this year. And what a great way to honor Dee Gordon during this different time that we're all going through. Now, if you're new to the Seattle community or new to the Hutch community, let me tell you a little bit about Fred Hutchinson, the man they called Hutch and the man for whom this award is named for. He graduated. He's a Seattle native who graduated from Franklin High School in 1938. I don't know what you did after you graduated high school. What Fred Hutchinson did was go out and win 25 games that season for the Pacific Coast League Seattle Rainiers, one of the great individual athletic accomplishments we've ever seen in Seattle. He then went on to spend over a decade in the major leagues. He won 95 games as a Major League Baseball starter. He was an American League All-Star in 1951. After his playing career, he became a manager and spent a decade managing the Cardinals, the Tigers, and the Reds. He led the Reds to a National League pennant in 1961. He had a terrific baseball career. But in 1964, he was diagnosed with cancer. Now, the man who made that diagnosis was his brother, Bill Hutchinson, who was a cancer researcher. And Fred Hutchinson died later in 1964. To give you an idea of the measure of the man, the Hutch Award was immediately created and presented for the first time the very next year in 1965. Now, winners of the Hutch Award over the years, truly a who's who of baseball legends and Hall of Famers, including, Rick, an amazing 1-2 punch in the first 2 years of the award. Amazing first two winners.
How about that? The first one, Mickey Mantle of the New York Yankees, the great outfielder with the Yankees. And the second winner of the Hutch Award, Sandy Koufax, one of the greatest pitchers in the history of the game of baseball. Now, Sandy and each of the other former winners are the ones who actually vote for the Hutch Award winner for the upcoming year. Fred and the Hutchinson family have been an important part of Seattle sports history, as you know, as you outlined. Of course, Fred's inspiration didn't end on the field. His brother, Bill, as you talked about, was driven to create the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in his honor. Bill is really the big hero in this huge story. The Hutch is a living memorial to Fred. Not only is it one of the foremost cancer centers in the world, but it's also leading numerous efforts in the fight against COVID-19. Let's give a quick shout out to the long-standing corporate partners of Fred Hutch's annual Hutch Award Luncheon. The luncheon at T-Mobile Park is where we annually celebrate the Hutch Award winner. Thanks to each of you for your commitment to Fred Hutch. Now, before we talk to Dee and our special panelists, we're going to have a lot of fun today. I want to introduce a very special friend, Seattle Mariners chairman and managing partner, Mr. John Stanton. John, how you doing, buddy? It's great to have you here.
Doing great, Rick. Thank you for your annual role of hosting this event, your role as a inspirational leader in doing the right thing in this community.
Well, John, it's great to be here as we honor Dee. It's nice to have you here. So let's spend some time talking about, of course, our honoree today. Why is this such a great celebration for Dee, the Seattle Mariners, and the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center?
Well, I have to start, Rick, by just saying that this is very personal to me in many ways. We lost my dad to cancer in 1977. Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center was important to us even back then. The dynamic for us, baseball is obviously important. I'm a passionate supporter of Dee Gordon. He lights up a room every time he's there. And personally, my wife is also on the Fred Hutch board. And for us, it's a very important part of what we do. But Fred Hutch is deeply embedded in the Seattle Mariners and T-Mobile Park. Most people don't notice that the end of each row has an image of Fred Hutchison on the seat frame itself, and it's a tribute for us to the important role that Fred Hutch plays. And every year, the first day of the season, we have a young cancer survivor or cancer victim run around the bases and get embraced by players when their favorite players when they get there. Fred Hutchison Cancer Center, cancer research is important, and Dee Gordon is just a spark plug, incredibly important player to this team.
In just a minute, John, we're going to be joined by Tom Lynch from the Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center. Tell us why the Mariners nominated Dee for this incredible opportunity and award.
Well, first of all, Dee is simply a great player. He has been a spectacular player for us, stealing bases, getting on base, igniting comebacks. He's also a great mentor within the organization for other players, Malik Smith in particular, but other players as well that he helps patiently teach. But in the community is where, from my perspective, he has really shined. He has been through a lot of personal challenges in his life. Domestic violence is a very important and personal issue to him, and his efforts with Flash of Hope have been incredibly important. He also participates in the annual run that we have to raise money for domestic violence. It's the Dawn program that in South King County has been important. He's also during the pandemic raised money for food in his home in Orlando. He's raised money for the Dominican Republic, and he does everything. And he also inspires other players to do things in the community, which is incredibly important.
What a resume for Dee Gordon on and off the field, John. Now, Dee, this is really something very special. Dee is the third Seattle Mariners player to win the Hutch Award, joining Raúl Ibañez and also Jaime Moyer. Tell us what it means, John, to you and the Mariners organization to have three of your players win the Fred Hutch Award.
Well, each of the players that has won the award, I think, has exemplified some of the qualities that both the Mariners and Fred Hutch share. To me, Jaime Moyer is synonymous with persistence. A guy, heck, Rick, I think he was practically our age when he retired. Dee played for over 20 years, well into his. Jaime played for 20 years, well into his 40s, and made a difference on every team that he was on. And in every community he worked, he was incredibly generous. For us, Raúl Ibañez, to me, simply brings to mind the word teamwork. He was a player who was patient with others. I think he'll eventually be a major league manager. He makes a difference in every community he was with. And we brought him back to this organization. He had 3 tours of duty with the Mariners because each time he came back, we knew that he would inspire a new group, particularly in the last 2 times, of young players. And we shouldn't forget, Rick, that we've had a couple other Mariners win the award, although not Mariners at the time they won it. But Little O, Omar Vizquel, a study in what you can do with hard work as maybe the best defensive shortstop we've ever seen in Seattle. And Mike Sweeney, who won the award in 2007 and then joined the Mariners in 2009. As I understand it, continues to follow on and do work with Fred Hutchison's Cancer Center. So we've had a lot of people who have really touched our community that have won this award.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Omar Vizquel and also Mike Sweeney. John, you grew up in the Seattle area, went to Newport High School, Whitman College, then on to Harvard. But your roots right here are in Seattle. Do you have any memories of Fred Hutchinson and his role in the Seattle sports community? And how much did you hear about Fred Hutchinson growing up as a kid?
Well, it's funny because I associate Fred Hutchinson first with the Cancer Center. He died, I believe, in '64, so I was 9 years old at the time. But it was really over time that I learned more about how he brought together baseball and research, and how his brother had done so much in creating the Cancer Center, as I really came to understand when my dad got sick. The dynamics of my father loved baseball, and Fred Hutch and that all really bring together, I think, the importance of this institution in our community, and the fact that we come together to name and recognize an award winner every year, I think just simply reinforces the positive relationship between baseball and fighting cancer.
John, here's a question that is on the mind for a lot of baseball fans here in our community. When do you think we can get the 2020 baseball season underway? And when we do, what is it going to look like?
Well, Rick, I don't know there's any people more than you and I that care about the season getting started. And frankly, I am spending almost my full time working on that issue. I had an early call with people with King County government this morning. I'm talking to folks at the state later on. I believe we have put ourselves in a position where Major League Baseball has created a protocol, still in draft form, that will allow us to specify a safe way to play. That is ultimately the most important thing, safe and healthy for all of our fans, our employees, and our players. And I think we have a protocol to do that. I am very hopeful that we will be playing baseball in T-Mobile Park in July. I'm reluctant to say exactly when in July, but we are working hard both at the national level. I'm chairman of the competition committee. We're going to make some modifications to the rules for Major League Baseball to accommodate some of the challenges associated with social distancing, as well as some of the challenges just associated with a shortened season. And, we're going to work with both our state and county and city governments to make sure that we satisfy all of their needs to be able to give us permission to play right here in T-Mobile Park.
John, what message would you like to send to the fans as we get close to starting up the 2020 season? Because I know when we left at spring training, you gave us that rough message that, we were shutting down, but we saw a lot of young players really coming on in this organization, one of the best farm systems in all in baseball. What would you like to tell the fans right now about this ball club?
There's no question that we will be back. It's only a question of exactly when we will be back. And, we're excited about it. As you suggested, Rick, this was one of the most exciting spring trainings that I've ever been to, even though it was shortened. We've got some incredible players. And part of the dynamic of this season is it may give us an opportunity to see a few extra players. I think we'll likely expand the rosters at least somewhat in order to accommodate some of the health and safety needs for our players, and the dynamic that it will be a little bit of jumping into the middle of the season whenever we start playing. But the dynamic is, I think we'll be back and will be exciting. And I think we're going to surprise some people and win quite a few games this year.
I do too. I loved what I saw at spring training, all those young players coming along. John, before we let you go, do you have one more comment for Dee Gordon winning the Fred Hutch Award before we let you go right now?
Dee, you inspire me in every time I see you in the room, but I'm most inspired by the conversations that we've had one-on-one about leadership. You are a leader. I desperately appreciate everything you've done in terms of work on the field, but the things you've done in terms of making us a better organization and a better team and making this a better community are the real hallmarks of your success.
John Stanton, thank you for your gracious time today as we honor Dee Gordon. I hope to see you out at T-Mobile Park real soon. John Stanton, thank you so much, buddy. Mike Gastineau, I guess you have a very special guest right now as well. Take it away, Mike.
Rick, thanks very much. And John, thanks for being with us today. The Hutch Award is built partially on the importance of giving back to the community. And as you just heard there from John, Dee is a great example of that. He's such an exciting ball player to watch, and the work he does off the field is terrific as well. And this whole award and the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center is all thanks to the legacy of Fred and Bill Hutchinson. And a thumbs up and a special shout out to all the people who work at the Hutch. All of you doing great work, and all the work you do continues to add daily to the hundreds of thousands of lives that have been positively impacted over the years by the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. We're lucky today to have here at the Hutch Virtual Lunch the new president and director of the Hutch is Dr. Thomas Lynch Jr. Tom, welcome to Seattle and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. It is tremendous to be here, and I want to thank John for that remarkable welcome. I can't tell you how much I was looking forward to the Hutch Award luncheon and opening day at T-Mobile Park, but we're going to make sure both happen next year. I really want to thank John and the Mariners for everything they do, not only for this program, but for the Fred Hutch. The Mariners are incredibly important to the Hutch. The relationship with them matters so much. And not only do we have John and his players here with us today, but we have a number of other Mariners who've been involved with a new grassroots effort to help support the Hutch. Manager service Hall of Famer Dan Wilson and minor league field coordinator Tony Emmerich recently joined together to raise funds through a Coaches versus COVID program that helps support COVID research at the Hutch, which is remarkable. The program was started by Tanner Swanson, who's an ex-Husky, and he's currently the New York Yankees catching coordinator, as a way to raise funds and awareness for our work. And I had the chance to talk to Tanner Swanson 2 days ago, and he could not be more motivated and excited to give back to the community. It's really terrific to see players in the major leagues so tightly connected with their community. And again, the Mariners and the Hutch is a natural marriage.
Well, we're all sad that the lunch couldn't happen at the ballpark this year. Maybe no one more than you, because it would have been your first opportunity to speak in front of the Seattle community, to speak in front of the Hutch community. You picked up your life and came all the way across country to become the new president of the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. Why? What was it about Seattle and the Hutch that was attractive to you?
Well, Mike, this is an incredible place. I mean, you guys know this. You live here. You've been here for a long time. It's a remarkable place. And I've been at the Hutch for about 100 days, like 110 days at this point. And I've been struck by the innovation, the spirit, the culture, and by how hard everyone's working. And I could not be prouder to be here. Think about Seattle. Think about what we have here. Remarkable science, remarkable data and tech, and really incredible people to make all of it actually happen. This allows us to make our work on cancer prevention, cancer treatment, and cures for COVID and cancer more likely. You know, one of the things we talk about at the Hutch is that cures start here. And it really only starts when you have great science. You need great science. You need to follow the science to be able to understand how to treat these diseases, or whether we're talking about COVID, whether we're talking about HIV, or whether we're talking about cancer.
Well, speaking of COVID, I don't know if you've paid attention. It's in the news a little days. It's really an all-hands-on-deck kind of response from the American medical community. Tell me a little bit specifically about what the Hutch is doing and how they're involved in the research and the education and the look to find a cure for COVID-19.
So, Mike, you know, when I got here, I knew the reputation of the Hutch for a long time as being important in cancer, but also in viruses like HIV. When I got here, what really impressed me was the ability of our scientists who are working on HIV to rapidly pivot and begin to work on COVID. Right now at the Hutch, more than a third of our scientists are working on projects related to COVID. They've taken the expertise that they have in molecular biology, in understanding how genes are regulated and expressed, and brought that to understanding COVID and approaching COVID with the highest priority. So what are some examples of that, which I'm really proud of? First, we're playing a big part in the local, the regional, national, and global understanding of the epidemic and the epidemiology around it. Second, we're working on developing antibody tests and coming up with better tests for figuring out who's had the virus and what does it mean to have had the virus. And this summer, we're planning to open the nation's first outpatient treatment center for patients with COVID, And one of the arguments there is we want to try treating people with approaches to COVID early in the course of their disease instead of waiting for the disease to progress. And you need an outpatient center to do that. And we're delighted to be able to do that at the Hutch. So using a baseball analogy, we're in the early innings. It's the second, maybe the bottom of the second at T-Mobile Park. Unfortunately, it's a 9-inning game. And we've got a long way to go before we actually get somewhere. But we have learned so much so quickly. I'm confident we're going to make progress.
Tom, at last year's luncheon, we were fortunate to hear from Dr. Steve Pergam. All he's done in his life is get a kidney transplant and then beat cancer. I'm just trying to get the dog walked in the morning. This guy's really a hero. He dedicated his career after this to protecting people with cancer from infections. So he's really specializing in stuff that he knows a lot about. Give us an update on Steve's work.
So Steve is really one of the best people we have at the Hutch. He's an extraordinary doctor. I'm someone who's spent the past 35 years in medicine working with thousands of doctors. And what I can tell you is Steve is the doctor's doctor. I mean, he's compassionate, he's thoughtful, he's smart, he's decisive, which is exactly what you want in somebody who's a great doctor. And that's Steve Pergam. He's absolutely fantastic. He works not only at the Hutch, but also at the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance and the University of Washington to really develop strong relationships between laboratory scientists working on COVID and doctors treating patients with COVID. And Steve's also been working with policymakers and government to really give us a better sense for how we should respond to this virus. So we're incredibly proud of Steve. He's our cleanup hitter.
You talked earlier about the Hutch's involvement with the research and the ongoing effort with COVID-19. How is that, the pandemic and your involvement with that, how is that affecting the cancer research that the Hutch is so well known for?
So, Mike, I think that's incredibly important because you know what? If you're a patient with cancer walking into the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance today or walking into Swedish or going to Kaiser or any of the great hospitals we have in our community, cancer is the most important thing in your life right now. You need options. You need treatment choices. And you count on the Hutch to come through with those. And not just in our society, in our community, but nationally. People count on us to push the needle and to come up with new approaches and treatments. Now, because of the pandemic, we've had to pause some of our research, but certainly not all of it. And we've continued core research, and gradually we're bringing more and more people back to the laboratories, obviously in a way that we believe is going to be safe, using science to help us bring people back with testing protocols and evaluation of people when they come in every day to make it safe for people to go back to work. But we really need to get back to be able to continue our cancer research mission. We want to get back as much as John and Dee and other Mariners want to get back on the field. It's going to be incredibly important, and we're close.
Tom, one more quick one for you. A few years ago at the lunch, we were so fortunate to have as our guest speaker, Hall of Famer Tom Seaver. I know he means a lot to you because as an 8-year-old boy growing up in suburban New York City, 1969, you become a fan of the amazing Miracle Mets. What a summer that must have been for an 8-year-old kid and what they did.
And Mike, how could you not be a Mets fan in 1969? They were incredible. Tom Seaver was fantastic, and they were absolutely remarkable. My dad was born in Boston. I was born in Boston, and my dad was really, I would describe him as an anti-Yankee fan more than a pro Red Sox fan. And we latched on to the Mets pretty quickly. And my gosh, was Tom Seaver a great player. Cleon Jones, Tommy Agee, Ron Swoboda, Don Clendenin. And that team really came out of nowhere. And who knows, maybe this year it'll be the Mariners that come out of nowhere.
Tom, thanks so much for being here, for all the great work you're doing. Thanks again, and we'll look forward to next year's lunch where we're all together.
Thank you.
I've been fortunate to be involved with the award and with the lunch for years. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I'm so impressed by the work and the people who do the work at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. Right now, we need you more than ever. We need the best and the brightest. The Hutch's work, Rick, it's more important than it's ever been.
It really is, Mike, and I want to thank Tom Lynch for spending time with us today. It's nice to know that he was a big Mets fan as a kid in 1969. I want to let you know I was a big Cub fan in 1969, and the Cubs blew that big lead to the miracle, the amazing Mets in 1969. But miracles do happen. We're going to get a miracle. We're going to find cures for cancer. We're going to find a cure and a vaccine for the COVID-19 virus. So I'm very happy Tom was a big Mets fan. But you're right, Mike. A lot of people working so hard at the Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center. You know, last year at the Hutch Award luncheon, we raised more than $550,000 for Hutch's vital research. Now, we can't donate, obviously, from the field this year, but that doesn't mean that we still can't step up to the plate. So if you're able, we ask you that you make a donation right now online while we'll get ready for our panel of baseball greats coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, please visit the link appearing on your screen now to make a gift. That link is, here it is, fredhutch.org/Hutch Award/donate. So that's fredhutch.org/Hutch Award/donate. And the link also appears in the chat section. So go ahead and donate right now, and we'd love to raise a ton of money again for the great research that's going on at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. We're all counting on science to end this horrible pandemic. Hutch researchers are not going to stop working until we're all protected, just as they won't let up until there are cures for all cancers. Your support will allow Hutch researchers to explore daring ideas that could unlock treatments for an incurable cancer or a vaccine for COVID-19. Let's help Fred Hutch work even faster to find cures, and let's protect the people we love. Every gift matters. Every dollar counts. Thank you very much. All right, let's bring Tom back right now to present this year's Hutch Award. Tom, take it away.
Thanks, Rick. It's my distinct pleasure to present the 55th Hutch Award to Dee Gordon. Dee, like our namesake Fred Hutchinson, you've shown tremendous honor, courage, and grit. You're not only a great second baseman, you're a role model of compassion and generosity. You're one of the best base stealers in the game, and you have stolen our hearts at the Fred Hutch. Dee, you're joining a stellar list of Hutch Award recipients: Mantle, Koufax, Bench, Sweeney, Moyer, Lester, and Ibañez. And it's a testament to you that several of those players are here with us today. I hope everyone at home will join me in congratulating Dee and giving him a huge virtual round of applause.
Thank you, Tom. Man, this award is amazing, and I'm just, so happy and blessed to be a part of this and be the 55th winner, with the Hall of Fame pedigree that comes with this award. My family and I, are amazed to be, the winner of it, and we can't thank you guys enough.
Dee, again, congratulations on behalf of all of us with the Seattle Mariners and all your family and friends and your teammates and the fans in the Pacific Northwest. Congratulations on winning the Fred Hutch Award. Where were you when you found out, and what was your reaction?
I was in the locker room. They told me, right when the stuff was going on with the pandemic, and I was just excited because, just to be able to be a part of this, knowing the pedigree of it, knowing 2 years ago I had a teammate with the Mariners who won it, so I had to know a little bit more about it, and knowing that, I was the sole winner of this prestigious award was just mind-boggling to myself and my wife.
From the time you found out you won the award till right now, how much did you find out about Fred Hutchinson, the biggest name to ever come out of Seattle?
So playing for Seattle helped, honestly. When we would get the Hutch bobbleheads and things, I would pay attention to see who was he, what did he stand for, what did he mean, because it was such a big deal, here in the Seattle area. So I was definitely trying to see what, he stood for, and then to know that to find out that he died a little earlier, and his brother had this awesome cancer research stuff for him and this awesome award with Major League Baseball. And to know that I was the winner was just pretty cool.
Yeah, he was really something as a young player growing up in Seattle for the old Rainiers, for the Detroit Tigers, managing the Cardinals, managing the Cincinnati Reds to the World Series in 1961. And now that award bears his name, and now your name is on that. And by the way, that award is in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. And it's voted upon by past winners.
It's crazy. Like I said, I'm definitely humbled by this experience. Definitely.
Awesome.
It's one of the best awards I've ever gotten.
Well, Dee, I tell you what, are you ready to have a little fun? Because we've invited some guys to join in on the celebration for you today to welcome you to a very exclusive club. Are you ready to meet your friends here and talk more about you?
Let's do it.
Well, Dee, we have a real all-star lineup for you to honor you today for winning the Fred Hutch Award. So let's bring on our special guest to welcome you to a very special fraternity. And I'll tell you what, we're going to start right off the bat with you. So for all you folks watching, here's Dee Gordon, 9 years in the major leagues. He made his major league debut with the Los Angeles Dodgers in June of 2011, a two-time National League All-Star with the Dodgers in 2014, with the Marlins in 2015. Nickname is Flash because he led the National League in stolen bases 3 different seasons. In 2015, he led the National League in hits with 2005. He won a Gold Glove in 2015 with the Marlins, became a Mariner a few years ago in a trade with the Marlins. He's truly one of the nice guys in the game of baseball, and now the 55th recipient of the Fred Hutch Award, Mr. Dee Gordon. Welcome, Dee.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you. How you guys doing?
You're welcome.
How you guys doing?
We also have now, Dee, Raúl Ibañez. Raúl spent 19 seasons. How you doing, Raúl, in the major leagues? He made his major league debut with the Mariners in August of 1996. Remember, he was a catcher coming up in the organization. He went from the Mariners to Kansas City, back to the Mariners, to Philadelphia, the Yankees, back to the Mariners, and to the Angels, to the Royals. 3 times Seattle Mariners. Not too many guys can say that. We couldn't get rid of the guy. He always kept coming back, and we were happy to have him. 20 or more home runs 8 times, 100 RBIs 4 times in his major league career. Best season 2006 with the Mariners, 33 home runs, 123 RBIs, an all-star with the Phillies in 2009. Went to the World Series with the Phillies 2009, and also the recipient of the Fred Hutch Award in 2013. How you doing, Raúl?
Great, Rick. Thanks for having me. Dee, congratulations. Couldn't happen to a better person. Congrats, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
We also, Dee, have for your viewing and listening pleasure, Jaime Moyer, the ageless wonder. A career that spanned 25 years in the major leagues with 8 different ball clubs. He made his debut in June of 1986 as the Chicago Cubs with the Cubs, Rangers, Cardinals, Orioles, Red Sox, Mariners, Phillies, and the Rockies. Final year 2012 at the age of 49. He won his last 2 games of the big leagues. He had 269 wins in the major leagues, 145 as the Seattle Mariners, second highest in Seattle Mariners history, right behind Felix Hernandez. He won 20 games twice with the Mariners in 2001. He won 20-6, 2003, that incredible year by the pitching staff, the starters. He went 21-7. He went back home to Philly, where he won a World Series with the Philadelphia Phillies in 2008. And Jamie also had 16 runs batted in his major league career. I wanted to throw that in for you, Jamie. He hit 400 in 2003, 500 in 2004. He was 1 for 2. He founded the Jaime Moyer Foundation. He's in the Mariners Hall of Fame and the winner of the Roberto Clemente Award and the Fred Hutch Award in 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, Dee Gordon, Jaime Moyer.
Dee, congratulations. Hello to everybody. Dee, congratulations. It's been a pleasure to watch you grow. I played with your daddy, and I saw you as a young kid. And to see you kind of come through the ranks and to follow your major league career, and now to get this the great award. Welcome to the Fred Hutch Cancer Research family and the Fred Hutch Award.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very proud of you.
And Dee, last but not least, we have one of the most popular players in the history of the Seattle Mariners, Harold Reynolds. Harold, 12 years in the major leagues, made his major league debut with the Mariners in September of 1983 from Corvallis, Oregon, the home of the Beavers, but he was a big Oregon Duck fan because of his brother Donnie, who started at the University of Oregon, spent 10 years with the Mariners, 2-time All-Star with the Mariners. He led the American League in stolen bases with 60 in 1987. He's got a great story about that concerns Rickey Henderson. Hopefully he'll tell that. He won 3 Gold Gloves in his major league career with the Mariners, 88, 89, and 1990. Went on to Baltimore and the Angels. First-round pick by the Mariners in June of 1980. And the 1991 recipient of the Roberto Clemente Award. And now he's a superstar at the Major League Baseball Network. Welcome, Dee, for Harold Reynolds to talk about you and your career and his career as well. Harold, great to see you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks, Rick. Dee, congratulations, man. This is a star-studded panel, man. Jaime Moyer, Roberto Clemente Award winner, Raúl Ibañez doing the thing. Those guys, 19 and 25 years in the big leagues. Just stay healthy, D. You got a long way to go to catch them.
Hey, I'm happy I'm healthy right now, so I'm trying.
And, of course, we also have –
sounded long.
and we also have, of course, Mike Gastineau as well to join in on the roundtable. So welcome, Mike. And we're going to start off, of course, with the man of the hour, Dee Gordon, winning the Fred Hutch Award. Dee, you've done so much to help others in your life and in your major league career. What does this award mean for you right now?
It means a lot. It means a lot, especially for myself. I don't even know if Jaime knows, but, when he played with my dad back in Philly, they were kind of locker mates. And I would hear him tell me things because the only thing I would talk to him about was, I want to be a baseball player. Like, I want to be in the major league. That's literally the only thing I would say to him. And he would always tell me, make sure you get your degree, make sure you stay in school. And I just watched the things he did, and to have him here for me getting the award of doing good things, that's pretty much like full circle. And it's crazy. Everybody on the panel right now, I have like a side story with them. Like I met Harold when I was a little kid on the airplane, and he's cool with us. Raúl played with my dad in '09. Like I remember these guys being around him. I'm not even gonna lie. I can tell him now. I stole like Jaime had these thick handle bats, and I actually used the B267 now because of that bat. And I used to steal Raúl's bats as well because they were so heavy I could use them as weighted bats. So I can tell y'all now, but I appreciate all y'all.
D, I know this is a philanthropic award, man. You're not supposed to tell them about how you're stealing their bats and their gloves.
But you got to think about it. If I didn't steal that stuff, I wouldn't be here to get the award. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Dee, those bats had a lot of base hits left in them, and so they helped you out.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Jaime, you had an incredible career, and you've done so much off the field, and, of course, the winner of the Fred Hutch Award. What was it like to win the Fred Hutch for you?
Well, obviously it's an honor, and awards, usually, and like even in this situation, it's about the individual. But for me, I didn't look at it. It was an individual thing. It was something that we were able to do in the community, spread the word about good things or causes in the community, and be able to give back in the community and work hand in hand with the Mariners organization and being acknowledged for that. Again, I may have been the one on the stage, but it takes a lot of people to allow that to happen. And, but also to be named in an award, as you mentioned previously, Rick, the story behind Fred Hutch is just a wonderful story. He was a man that was loved by anybody he touched. Yeah. And he touched, as we all know, he was a great player, but he also touched a lot of people as a manager in the game. And, starting in Seattle, going to the Midwest, St. Louis, Cincinnati, coming back to Seattle, and then unfortunately, in his not elder years, but older years, was diagnosed with a lump in his chest and his throat, and unfortunately a year later passed. But he had a brother, Bill, who was a doctor, and he was also a researcher and was able to, diagnose what was going on. And then, a couple years later, what comes to name? The Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. So, I mean, through some really good things, through an unfortunate situation, and then, evolves a cancer research center. So to be involved with that, to be acknowledged with that, I think is very special. And I do nothing but, again, congratulate Dee and welcome Dee. It's a very well-deserved honor.
Thank you.
Raúl Ibañez, you had the privilege of winning the Fred Hutch Award. All you guys that are on this panel today are cut from the same cloth because you really care about your families and so many others. Raúl, tell us your thoughts about that day when you accepted the Fred Hutch Award.
Well, it was an extraordinary honor, and being on this panel with guys like Harold, Jaime, who came before me, who laid the foundation and taught us the importance as young players of making an impact. And, of course, Dee's dad, Tom, who was the man as a human being and as a pitcher. And Dee, following your career and watching you play, not just the talent, not just the ability to hit, run, throw, steal bases, play defense, but as a human being, our interactions have always been incredibly positive, and you can't help. We're still, whenever we play against each other or something, I'm hoping we win.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you get 3 hits and have a great day. And that,
Yes,
don't say that about everybody. So, getting that award and that privilege and that honor of being part of this legacy and Fred Hutch's legacy is an extraordinary honor because it's the impact that you make on other people. And I think Dee is following in the footsteps of these great men that I followed in the footsteps of, and Rick, you're included in that group, is the impact that you're making outside of the game of baseball. The impact that you're making as a man and as a human being is going to transcend anything that you do on the field. As great a player as you are, and as great of a career as you still have ahead of you, and the impact that you're making on the field, I think it speaks volumes to the character of the man and the individual and the impact that you're making on the lives around you. So I couldn't be prouder to be a part of this, but I couldn't be prouder of you as a man. The great player, yes, but as a human being, couldn't be prouder.
Well said, Raúl. Thank you very much on behalf of Dee and everybody. Harold, at the Major League Baseball Network, one of your studios is Studio 21 in honor of the late, great Roberto Clemente. I don't know if anybody gave more to the cause outside the game of baseball for the kids in Puerto Rico and to the world than Roberto Clemente. You won the Roberto Clemente Award in 1991. Tell us your thoughts on what it was like to win that prestigious honor.
Well, like Jamie talked about, it's not really necessarily just the individual who gets that award. It's a great team effort. We did so many things in the community in Seattle and just really around the globe to affect people. And when I look at Dee and I see the things that he's doing and watch him, it's so inspiring. And I thank Raúl for saying we laid down a foundation. That's what we tried to do back in the day, was to lay that down that others might come after us. And, watching Dee now run with the mantle, I get a chance to vote, as do the former winners of the Hutch Award, get to vote on the Hutch Award. I get to vote on the Roberto Clemente Award. And the first thing I look at is, what do they do to give? It's easy to write a check, but how are you giving your time? And I think anybody who's been around Dee, he gives his time as well as his finances. But his heart is unique. There's so many players and athletes that do great things in our game. And I'm proud of where baseball's at and the ambassadors we put forward. But for Dee to get this award just shows you how he's at the top of that heap of not only just a player, but as a person. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I know Jamie's got 25 years and Raúl's got his 19 years. And Rick, you've been broadcasting since I can remember. And Mike, you've been doing the same thing too. But at the end of the day, people are going to say, what kind of person are you? And, that's the thing that really shines bright about Dee. And I'm just honored and proud to have known him most of his life and see the man he's become. So that, to me, winning this award is really not about stolen base titles or hit titles or different things he's accomplished in his career, but it's about the people he's touched. And I'm just honored to be sitting on here on this panel and honoring you today with that, Dee.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir.
Dee, I'll jump in and let me be the last to congratulate you on this great award. And I'll tell you, from my perspective, having gotten to know Jamie and Raúl and Harold over the years, you fit right in with this group. I've got to know you two, and you are a perfect addition to this group of guys who are award winners and great baseball careers. So congratulations. I found myself laughing. I knew you were going to look good, but I found myself thinking, what if we get Dee on and he looks like he weighs 290 pounds and he just let himself go?
I wish.
Shape and how hard is it to stay in baseball shape, given all the inactivity right now?
I started making plans before the coronavirus really took a hit. I try to plan things a little bit ahead of time. So me and my agent kind of jumped on some things. I was able to get a tunnel machine so I can do workouts like weights. And I just got an inflatable cage because I didn't want to build a cage. That would have took 2-3 months. We found a company that makes these pretty good inflatable cage, Root America. And that's what I've been doing. I got a Hack Attack Jr. I get my breaking balls, my fastballs, and it's time to go.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Mike, Dee could have used a pork chop or two anyway. He'd be all right with that.
All right. I could have took the extra LB for sure.
When you order food, you can tell the guy to stay at the end of the driveway. You can sprint out to get it and sprint back. That's just a little exercise tip from me to you.
I just tell them to leave it at the door, and I can run to the door and run back. That's it. I don't want no contact, please. No contact. I gotta get back on the field whenever we can play.
Hey, one of the things D is doing, he can tell us all about it, but during this pandemic, he's been feeding people. And one of the things he's been doing is he has a barbecue shop with a buddy of his that he's paid for meals for thousands of people. So, D, just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing on that front.
Just, Jesse's Rib Shack has always been a friend of ours for like past 3 or 4 years. And, the pandemic is hitting everybody hard. So I just wanted to help a friend, who had small business in mind. And I was just trying to help them, so they can help feed their family. I've been blessed. So I've just been trying to help.
Hey, Harold, you've probably talked to more players than any of us, given your role with MLB Network. Are you hearing the same thing as what Dee just said, that guys are going out trying to be proactive and get equipment in their home if they need it or whatever to stay in, as close to baseball shape as they can?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going out getting equipment like D. That was pretty proactive, but they're trying to stay ready. I think this generation is all 12 months around the clock ready to play. And I really feel confident that, if everything's healthy, the big issue is not, I don't think it's going to be down to money and arguments over funding and stuff like that. It's going to come down to if guys can guarantee their health. And if they're healthy, they'll be back playing. And I think they'll be ready to go a lot sooner than most people think. So that's the word I'm hearing from most players. But I think with this generation, they're going to be ready to go. Had it been a generation maybe before my generation, we'd have had major trouble getting those guys ready. Rick. You saw some of those guys in the past.
Well, speaking of that, I don't know if Jamie goes to the prior generation or not, but Jamie, I've known you for a long time, and all ball players are creatures of habit, but you were really a routine guy, and I think it's why you had, one of the reasons you had so much success for so long with this game. Can you put yourself in the shoes of a guy right now in the prime of his career, and what would you be doing to try and stay sharp?
Yeah, I can only liken it to when I was playing because I don't know what it's like to play now. I think the game is a lot faster. The game is a lot different. I haven't played in this era, but I know that from what I have done previously, the focus would really have to be on a day-to-day type of a focus. Trying to stay fresh, trying to stay sharp, throw your bullpens, do your weight training, continue to do your running, take care, go through the arm care. And beyond that, a month ago, there was no light to the end of this tunnel. Now it seems like we're getting a little closer to the light to the end of the tunnel. And, obviously all the right things have to fall into place for baseball to resume. But it sounds like that we're moving closer to that. So I'm sure that's creating excitement for guys like D and all the other current players. And, I think today everything is so cutting edge with the way they train, the skill sets they have. And, I feel like in today's game, if you're not up on it, you're going to get left behind a lot quicker than you would have 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I think a lot of these players realize this and understand this. And they are training and they are working out and they will be ready to go.
Raúl, the last time you and I talked, you were talking about your involvement in baseball now. And as I recall, you were doing a lot of different things and trying to see if there was one thing you might like to do. I seem to recall you were doing some work maybe with the Dodgers. You're obviously involved in the game and you talk to people. What interesting stories have you heard about how guys are dealing with this and how clubs are dealing with this right now?
Well, first I want to commend Dee and congratulate him for being that proactive, far ahead of it. And getting equipment and thinking and understanding that, quarantine for that time, having your own setup at home, really smart on his part. And it just speaks to preparation and how he's performed so well up to this point. And I know that that's going to continue. So, I feel for the guys on the mind side of things. I really feel for those guys. Not knowing whether they're going to have a season or not, not having the resources that maybe, we were all fortunate and blessed enough to have. And so I think moving forward, it's the guys at the major league level and the guys like D, I'm not saying everyone's going to prepare like D. And again, that's elite preparation, but I worry less about those guys. And I worry a lot about, the guys on the minor league side of things, because, the uncertainty of the future, the uncertainty of a 5-round draft and what's going to happen in the future. I think that part's really I can't imagine what these guys are going through today at the big league level and the minor league level both. So, just sympathizing and empathizing with what they're going through right now and the challenges that's going on is really something that's extraordinary, unprecedented. We're living in unprecedented times. That being said, I'm really encouraged by the future of the game. Guys like D, with knowing that we're going to be moving forward soon. Baseball will be played again, and it will be part of the healing process of the country and what's going on. Yeah. So I can't wait to see this game flourish again, and I think it's going to be exciting. The structure, the format, what's going to happen in the future, a shortened season. I think it's going to be really exciting. The game of baseball is going to go on, carry on. With that being said, these guys are going through some tough times, and I'm sure that they're chomping at the bit to get back into some form of normalcy moving forward.
Yes, sir.
I agree. I think we're going to come back. We're going to come back stronger. Dee, once somebody meets you, once I met you, it doesn't take long to find out that you're a great guy, that you're somebody special who cares about those guys in the clubhouse. Right now, you got a lot of kids in that clubhouse, your family and everybody around you and kids that you'd never met before, all the people that you have helped in your community. Who instilled that trait in you growing up? Because you don't win that award unless you have something special inside, and you've got it.
Man, I got uncles, Anthony Gordon, Donald Gordon. They go far and beyond for our family and for others. So if me doing this is just water under the bridge to the things that they do every day on a normal life. And I honestly do it to make sure, I hold my family legacy, the people that they are, to a high standard as well. So that's why I do it as well. And honestly, just growing up, I've always had a soft spot if somebody didn't have the same blessings I had. So that's why.
You're passing it forward, man. You're making it happen. That's outstanding. Jamie, you're the same way with the Jaime Moyer Foundation. You've helped out so many kids for many, many years. Can you tell us how you got the Jaime Moyer Foundation underway and what you did?
It was an extension of being a Seattle Mariner and really getting involved in the community in Seattle and wanting to do more. And we felt that we could take it a step further and try to help and be an extension or an arm, if you will, of the Mariners. And we created our own foundation and chose our causes, and most of those causes were with children or children in need. And being able to see that and make an impact and make a difference and help those in need, I think was really important. And to see the impact that, again, it wasn't a me thing, it was an us thing. It was the impact that we all could make, and bringing a community together. And we were able to create camps that are still running throughout the United States for children who have lost a family member or children who live under the roof of an addicted family member. So, it's still having its own impact as we move forward down the road. So, with that being said, it's again, as an athlete, you try to do something to make a difference, and we're all trying to make that impact on the field. But it's also what Raúl, what Harold, what everybody's talked about, making that impact off the field.
Raúl, it's great to have you here. You have been such a big part of the Mariners organization with the club 3 different times, as we talked about before, up and down in the early part of your career, but you hung in there. How were you able to hang in there? You moved on. You had a great career. And what stands out about your time as a Seattle Mariner all those years?
Well, thank you. And not because he's on here, but Jaime Moyer and Martinez impacted my career more than anybody did. Jaime was a guy that I used to look to. Jaime as a young player when I'm sitting never playing. I'd say, Jaime, he's smiling because he knows. Jaime, tell me the story of your career again. He was like 29 and he was in play, and now he's like an elite Major League starter winning 15, 20 games a year. And he would tell me and talked to me. And I always looked at him as a role model, looked to him as a role model of what could be possible if you train and work and have discipline, as well as Edgar. But both of those guys, what they did, and what it meant to be a Seattle Mariner was character. It was makeup. It was the Dan Wilson, Jaime Moyer, Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner, Griffey. And I hope I'm not leaving guys out of, which I'm sure I am, but these guys made an impact on my life as men. And moving, out of that into on the baseball side, what the Seattle Mariners did. Seattle Mariners, even as minor leaguers, guys like Chuck Armstrong and Howard Lincoln, they made it a point, even on the minor league side, to make an impact on the community. And then you saw it personified with guys like Jaime Moyer, and then it was continued with the Mariners, PR department, and Sean Grinley played a huge role. And I'm hoping Sean's on the call because he played a huge role in making an impact, making sure that, he lined you up and paired you up with stuff that was dear and near to your heart. So it was just a collaborative and collective effort, and I feel blessed to have been a part of it.
Harold, you were an all-star with the Mariners, a stolen base title in 1987. There's a great story there. You stole 60 bases. You had a great battle. It went down to the last day of the regular season with Willie Wilson. But then after the season, you get a phone call. Can you please tell us that story? It's one of the best stories I've ever heard. And Dee is going to really like that.
People ask me about this story quite a bit. Well, Rickey Henderson had always won the stolen base title in the 80s. He won every year. He's stealing about 100 to 120 bases a season. That year in 87, he got injured. And so here I am finding myself tied with Willie Wilson on the last day of the season.
Yeah.
And Rickey got injured in May, and I think he already had like 35 stolen bases in May. He's on his way to another 100 plus. Yes, lean in, D. I'm telling you. And so I steal my 60th bag. I put my Rickey Henderson, I'm the champion, the greatest of all time. No, I didn't do all that, but that was for Rickey. But anyway,
that's what it felt like.
I get back home. That was the last day of the season. I get back home. My phone rings on the next day. I answer the phone, and he says, Henderson here. I said, hey, what's up, Rick? He goes, 60 stolen bases? You ought to be ashamed. Rickey has 60 at the All-Star break. But hung up. That was my congrats. So that's how I got congratulated for winning my stolen base title.
That's good.
But that was Rickey. He still talks to me about that to this day. It's pretty cool. Stands out as one of my big moments as a Mariner fan. That's funny.
Hey, Dee, one of the things about your career that I find so interesting, I love watching you play the game and the joy you bring to the field, and you brought that same joy into helping to educate and promote to other players the importance of the history of the Negro Leagues and the Negro Leagues Museum in Kansas City. Talk about how that means so much to you and what you've done to kind of help keep everybody in the loop on what's going on there.
Oh man, I personally feel like without the Negro Leagues, I wouldn't be able to play baseball. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got Jackie Robinson came through, Hank Aaron came through. These guys paved the way for guys like myself and Harold and Raúl to some aspect, with the Latinos. So it's big for me to pay homage to the people who did it before me, just like I did with these three guys when they got on. Because you wouldn't make it nowhere without the people that were there before you. And that's what I just try to show my respects and know that I'm blessed, financially. So give back and help the museum as well. And also educate these young African-American players about the history of it. Because just like the first time I went, I was like googly eyed, like, oh, that's tight. Oh, they did this. Because honestly, you can ask Harold, we can do some things on the field and get in trouble for it because it's different. You know what I'm saying? And to see that they were doing the stuff that I would do different now, they were doing it back then 100 years ago. That's just pretty awesome.
Harold, let me have you put your analyst hat on. You're about the same size as Dee. You played second base. Who would you take? Give me a scouting report on your game compared to Dee Gordon.
Well, Dee was 200 hits a season, so he was pretty impressive. It would have been fun to compete against Dee. I was a switch hitter. He hits left-handed. We play a very similar game, but I think he's probably stronger, a lot better arm. He could play shortstop if he wanted to. I don't think I could have played short. So I would have to give the nod to D. I'm not going to short myself too much, but I short myself for D. He's got some talent I did not have. Pretty impressive.
No, I'm taking Harold all day long. He won 3 Gold Gloves. I have 1. So I'm taking Harold. End of story. End of story.
It's good to have goals. Jamie, the last time I saw you was in Cooperstown last summer at Edgar's induction. And I'll say, and this is off the topic, and it's probably for another day, but I think 269 wins and 25 years of success at the major league level, I think your career should get more of a look by those who voted Cooperstown.
Yes.
And there's only 4 guys in history who played longer than you in baseball, and it wasn't like you were just hanging on. I mean, you were getting stuff done in your career. Well, that's for another day. Let me ask you what it was like to be in Cooperstown and see another guy who had to kind of fight a lot to get there in Edgar. I never had a weekend where I just felt better for a guy than that weekend. What were your memories?
Yeah, well, Mike, that was my second opportunity to be at a Hall of Fame induction. I went to juniors as well, and both. Just the whole week. It's a magical place. You hear people talk about Disney World being a magical place for children. Well, to me, Cooperstown is a magical place for baseball and baseball fans and the players who are being inducted. It's everywhere you walk, everywhere you go, every conversation you have, it has something to do with baseball, right? And then to have been fortunate enough to be a teammate of Edgar's and actually play against him as an opponent first and then become a teammate for a long period of time and watch what it took for Edgar to be the player he was, to be the leader he was, to be the quiet leader he was. And sometimes funny, but the intensity that he brought, the professionalism that he brought, and then to see it all kind of culminate last year on Hall of Fame weekend, what an honor that is to become a Hall of Famer, I'm sure. But I'm sure Edgar would say that it took many people, but Edgar had to do the work. And, Edgar's a very humble man and a very respectful man. And it was just an honor for me to be there. And I took my son Dylan, who had never been to a Hall of Fame induction. I think it was a great way for us to kind of reconnect with the game of baseball. And I know that I'm not promoting the Hall of Fame or anything like that, but it is a great place. Yeah. Anybody that ever has a chance to go to a Hall of Fame induction or just visit Cooperstown, especially in the summertime when it's beautiful up there, it is the coolest experience that you can have, whether you know a player going in or you don't. It's thousands of people that love the same thing you love, and that's baseball.
Raúl, last quick question from me, and it's not a baseball question. You and I have one thing in common. We are both fans of the little Seattle band with the great big heart, Pearl Jam. I got to think you've heard Gigaton by now. What do you think of their new album?
I mean, they're fantastic. I think, obviously, I'm biased. I think these guys are tremendous musicians. But again, in the spirit of the Hutch Award, not just are they one of the greatest bands of all time, if not the greatest rock and roll band of all time, but they're some of the greatest human beings of all time. And just as people, their humility. So, I mean, just bringing this up, and I know that we got to wrap this up, but I just want to tell you guys what a privilege and an honor it is to be on a panel of human beings like this. And now that you bring up Pearl Jam, if you're into that type of music or you're not into that type of music, you got to get the album. These guys are fantastic, phenomenal musicians and people. The lyrics, the musicianship, and the quality of and the theme of their music is just fantastic. So I love it. I'm a fan.
I tell you what, this has been really special, guys. Absolutely unbelievable. So much fun to have you here. Real quick, 10 seconds each. We'll start with Jamie, Raúl, and Harold. What would you like to say before we sign off for this young man right here, Dee Gordon, the winner of the Fred Hutch Award? Jamie, we'll start with you.
Again, Dee, congrats and a great honor. Now it's up to you to pass this baton on, as you talked about passing this baton on and being that person. Continue to be that person as you are. Wish you nothing but the best success, your health, your family, your daddy. Make sure you tell your daddy hello. and great seeing all you guys. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this special day.
Raúl.
I want to echo that. I mean, congratulations on this tremendous award. Obviously, it speaks volumes to the human being that you are. And I want to echo that with Jamie, too. Don't underestimate not just the impact that you're making outside of there, and I know you take this serious, but the game, just like these guys, Harold and Jamie, passed it along and paid it forward to me, what you're doing in that locker room is making champions and making men and helping guys have prolonged careers. So I want to commend you on that. Thank you for being who you are. And here's to the next 15 years. I think you got another 18 or so in you. You can play. Go get some more gold gloves. Go man.
Yes, sir, we'll do.
Harold, how about you?
Well, I think for everybody who's watching this and paying attention, being out here on the East Coast, I know this seems like a Seattle-centric conversation, but the Fred Hutch Award is known all over the world, and it impacts the East Coast. I live in New Jersey, and people know immediately what Fred Hutchinson Research Cancer Center is. It's impacted so many people, not just in the Northwest, but across this whole globe. So I want you to know that it is a huge award, Dee, not just a Seattle-centric award, but a huge award that people know about worldwide. Just keep being who you are. You've been raised right, raised that little daughter of yours right, and just keep being who you are. People are following you. You've always been a leader. And just keep being who you are, and things will continue to be great. But I'm honored to be here, honored to be able to honor you today. So thank you, Rick, Mike, Jamie, Raúl, and to Dee for having me on today. Appreciate it.
Harold, thank you. Jamie, Raúl, Dee, thank you for helping us make this. Is obviously a special year for the Hutch, and we couldn't have done it without you to make this a really fun and memorable day. And Dee, congratulations. Also, thanks to John Stanton of the Mariners and Dr. Tom Lynch from the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center for joining us as well. Rick, this has been a great time. Take us home, Rizzs.
Oh, Mike, this has been absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed being a part of the Hutch Award celebration to honor Dee Gordon right here. And Dee, I want to let you know that Fred is up there smiling out at you right now, the Hutchinson family and Dr. Bill, everybody, for the man you are, not just the ball player you are, but the man you are and all the people that you help. We have a lot of fun with our all-star panel. Again, thanks to Harold and to Jamie and to Raúl, and great to honor you, Dee, this afternoon. And my sidekick right here, Mike, I couldn't have a better co-host for the Fred Hutch Award. This is an incredible organization. They're going to find a cure for cancers. We're eventually going to get a cure and a vaccine for the COVID-19 virus. So we want to thank the Mariners organization, again, for being such an incredible partner through all this and helping us pull together such a fun panel today. This was awesome. Fred Hutch, as you know, has always done critical life-saving work, and I've always been grateful to have them here in Seattle. But I'm even more grateful now hearing about the remarkable work they're doing to protect our community from COVID-19. Fearless science, like the Hutch is doing, is what we need to end this horrible pandemic. Now, once again, if you're able, please step up to the plate and make a donation to the Fred Hutch today. You can visit the site. They'll be coming up on the screen shortly, and that link is fredhutch.org/Hutch Award/donate. Once again, fredhutch.org/Hutch Award/donate. The link can also be found over in the chat session. So, again, congratulations to Mariners second baseman Dee Gordon on winning and receiving the 55th recipient of the Fred Hutch Award. Amazing career and amazing guy. I'm Rick Rizzs signing off along with Mike Gastineau. We can't thank you enough for joining us for this special celebration honoring Dee Gordon. So from all of us to all of you, this reminder, stay safe, stay well, and stay strong. Thank you so much.